The second lesson from Rich Dad Cash Flow Quadrant. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. One of my favorite books by Robert Kiyosaki is The Cash Flow Quadrant. I talked about yesterday, and you can go back and rewatch that one. I talked about the first lesson. I learned about cash flow from Cash Flow Quadrant, and this is the second lesson. This is a series of 3. Okay, I also talked about how I came in contact with this book, which was pretty interesting. This lesson, extremely simple, just like yesterday's one. Very, very, very simple. But in it, there is, it's magic because it's one of those things that isn't taught. It isn't discussed. It isn't covered. My parents didn't teach me this, although they taught me part of it. Okay, and it's all about a balance sheet. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but this is very interesting. This is a balance sheet. Okay, talks about it right in this book. It goes through much more detail, so you can go check out the book to find out more details. But this is so interesting, and it's one of those things that if you're a business owner, if you're an executive, you probably already understand this stuff. And this is far beyond you. But if you want to understand how to explain it to someone else, this is a great way of doing it. So you could take one piece of paper, and on one side you split it in half, and you got income and expenses, and you take another piece of paper and you split it down the other way, and you've got assets and liabilities. Income is what you're making on a regular basis. It's what's coming in, right? Expenses is what's going out on a regular basis. It says today, so this is monthly or daily or whatever. That's your expenses. What is going out on a regular basis? Assets are things that are putting money in without you doing anything. It's bringing money to you. Okay, putting money in. Liabilities is taking money out. It's making sure there's more expenses versus income. Okay, 2 very different things. That is simple. But here's where the visual side of it really comes in handy. And he talks about that this is the most common thing that people get taught, and this is how they live their life. They go out, they get a job, they get the income coming in, they get the expenses going out. There you go. That wouldn't be that bad if that were the only way that people did it. It would be very simple. They wouldn't understand assets or liabilities. But here's the real problem is that most people, they get a job and they purchase liabilities. So they'll go out and purchase a house or a car or whatever, something that pulls money out on a regular basis and increases their expenses. So their expenses grow because they bought a liability instead of buying an asset. Most people are never taught how to buy assets, how to buy things that put money into your pocket. And the thing is, they tell you to go out and buy a house. And this is one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about all the time. They tell you to go out and buy a house, and that's an asset. In most cases, a house isn't an asset because it's taking money out of your pocket for the next 30 years or what have you. So here's what you end up having over the long run. You end up having, let me see here. Let me show you first this one. So you end up having this. The job purchases liabilities, which always goes up. It increases. You may have an increase in income, but you also have an increase in expenses, and so money is constantly going out. That's what the average person ends up having throughout their life, is something very similar to that. That's if they're able to keep a job and everything else, right? And then you have this situation. This is the ideal. This is what we want to train ourselves on how to do, and then train other people on how to do it. It's very simple. You got some type of job. You got something putting money in. And you go and purchase assets. Assets puts the money back in so that it's constantly growing. This money goes up, income can go up, expenses will always go down, and any liabilities you have will go down. It's not that liabilities are all that bad. That there's sometimes necessities. You may have to have liabilities, but they should be going down and not up. It shouldn't be like how most people treat credit cards, which tend to go up and up and up, right? This is a magic formula. It's a very simple way of viewing your budget. All you have to do is go through and say, okay, what's all the income that I have coming in? Usually pretty simple for most people. What's all the expenses going out? When I work with new business owners, this is one of the things that I pull them through because most of them don't understand it. I've gone in to purchase businesses where they did not understand this. They did not have any form of budget whatsoever. I say, how can I purchase your business? Well, for one thing, they'd show me the income, but they wouldn't show me the expenses. I say, how can I purchase your business if I don't know what's going out? It doesn't matter if there's millions of dollars pouring into this thing. If I don't know how much is going out, I don't know the full picture. It ought to be taught mandatory in every school in the nation. And I'm not even for teaching most of the stuff at school. I think honestly, we could get most of what needs to be taught to most people could be taught probably by the 8th grade. We'd probably be done. I know that's controversial to say, but just in my experience, most people don't get a whole heck of a lot out of high school. A lot of people are graduating without knowing how to read. So what good is that, right? But that's a whole nother story. The point is, we need to educate people. This is a great way of doing it. He's put out a lot of good material, but this is a great book if you're just wanting to educate yourself on this, or to educate yourself on how to talk to other people about it, because maybe you were raised with it, maybe you figured it out on your own, and you don't know how to translate it to someone else. This is a great way of doing it. It's a great book. I'm going to go through lesson number 3, and it's a very unknown lesson because it's not something that the book talks about. But my relationship with the book and my relationship understanding how Robert Kiyosaki got this book out there made a big difference to what I consider lesson number 3. So come on back for that one. Now, if I am a business strategist and I have an entire philosophy that I built up over time to be able to help businesses to grow. So not only people who are starting new businesses, but people who have consistent growing businesses. This is where I come in and help them to build their business further, to take them to the next step. And I do that through a process that is pretty well explained in this book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. It talks about how to overcome competition, but really in that process, it's going to show you pretty much all of the things that I end up doing. Although it doesn't go into great detail, it's a small book, it'll get you started. So go check out this book. You go buy a copy, or you can get a free copy at AmazonProofBook.com. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.